Let me do this. I'm going to drop the back screen there. All right. So what we're doing is we're talking about comparing and contrasting, and we're also going to look to identify cause and effect. As we read, we realize, oh, I see what this author is doing. He or she is taking two different topics, and he wants us to think about what's the same about those two different topics and what's similar. That would be comparing and contrasting. Or the author might show us how the different events connect to each other. What causes one thing to happen, and then that causes another thing to happen in like a chain reaction, right? So some of the signal words for comparing and contrasting are words like such as, right? It would be like right here. Let me do this. Oh, I don't want to do that. God. There we go. So some of the signal words for our compare and contrast is going to be words such as like, both, and unlike, right? These would be signal words if we were looking for words to help us determine whether or not it's comparing and contrasting. Here they are. What about signal words for cause and effect, right? Words such as because, as a result, therefore, and if, and then often signal that this is going to be cause and effect, right? And words like, both, or unlike would be comparison. There are probably more signal words to do comparing and contrasting, right? And more signal words that would show us cause and effects about to happen. So we're going to read each passage below. I want you to circle, well, in this case, you're going to use the highlighters. Highlight the signal words uh, that show the text structure, right? So I'll read passage 1 and passage 2, and you can think about that as we read, okay? Let's do it. Passage 1. The earliest sound recordings were made on tin foil. Because the foil ripped easily and sounded bad, inventors looked for better materials. Later, recordings were therefore put on harder metal or wax, which lasted longer and sounded better. So, what are a couple of signal words that you found there on that one? Some words that you know are signal words. I'll read it again. You want me to read it again? You could stop me when I come over some of those signal words. So here we go. It says the earliest sound recordings were made on tin foil because, oh, you found one right there. Because the tin foil ripped easily and sounded bad, inventors looked for better materials. Later recordings were, I think so, recordings were therefore put on harder metal or wax, which lasted longer and sounded better. What do you think this one is? Yeah, that's right. What do you think this one is? Mm, let's go to the next one. I think I know what that one is. We'll go to the next one. Okay, ready? Thomas Edison invented the phonograph in 1877. It played sound when the listener spun a hand crank that turned a metal tube. In 1886, Alexander Bell invented the graphophone. Like the phonograph, the graphophone played sound and was powered by the listener. Unlike the phonograph, the graphophone was operated by means of a foot pedal that turned a wax covered tube. Do we have some signal words in this one? What are they? So let's go through. Thomas Edison invented the phonograph in 1877. It played sound when the listener spun a hand crank that turned a metal tube. In 1886, Alexander Bell invented the graphophone. Like the phonograph, the graphophone played a sound and was powered by the listener. Unlike the phonograph, the graphophone was operated by means of a foot pedal that turned a wax-covered tube. So what type of structure do you think that is? We're comparing. We know the two things. What two things? The phonograph and the graphophone. You know when they're talking about two different things, we're comparing and contrasting here, right? What about the first one? Definitely cause and effect, right? All right. So here's what you're going to do. You guys are going to take a look at the next slide, right? The next slide down, which I gotta take a look at this next slide down. Oh, it's right there. All right. And it says right here, it says, consider what you've learned about how authors use different text structures to organize their writing. Match each graphic organizer to the passage featuring that text structure. Then complete the graphic organizer using details from the passage. So which passage do you think would work with this one here? And which passage do you think would work with this one here? I want you guys to go ahead and just do that on your own. That's what you're going to work on right now. I read through them. You should have a pretty good idea. Make sure you fill out each little section of it. Good luck. Tadero out.